For the first time, leaders of nearly 200 nations, large and small, developed and developing, made a commitment to work together to confront a threat to the people of all nations. And that seemed proof that for all the divisions in our world, when a crisis threatens all of us, we can come together to address it. At the time, we also believed that if enough national governments showed they were serious about climate, then other institutions, particularly in the private sector, would start raising their sights as well. And over the last 6 years, that is what's happened. Today, more than 1/5 of the world's largest companies have set net zero emissions targets. Not just because it's the right thing to do for the environment, but in many cases because it makes sense for their bottom line.
Hi, welcome to The Pursuit of Truth. So, a few days ago, I was watching a bit of the COP26, I think it was on Sky News. They had a clip about Barack Obama saying, that they didn't look like they were going to succeed their target 1.5 that they'd agreed in 2015 in Paris, and him talking about, people rally round to get things done, humans, and not against him, but this sentiment of that many people believe, I believe falsely, that humanity is this great thing that has done lots of things for each other. But I would like for anyone to name one thing where someone's done something for humanity that hasn't involved money or possession or greed or pride, those things that usually drive the system, the life that we live within. I know, most people probably go straight for COVID-19 vaccination, the vaccine for that, but money from governments was given to pharmaceutical companies to develop this. Pharmaceutical companies, I believe all of them claim they're not making profit from it. Of course, it's keeping their business afloat and giving them good PR, but I don't know how much of that is true numbers-wise. When they always say that it costs this much to make it, I don't know, is that an exact amount, or there may be a few pennies they make out of each one and then they are making a profit. I don't know how much that's scrutinised when they say things like that. But it's not been done for the good of mankind, because countries have promised amounts to India and Africa, and they haven't delivered on these promises because they're vaccinating their own countries first. So you can't really say that that has been done for all humanity. I mean, maybe the person who developed it may have done that in their mindset. They were thinking about curing everyone, but it hasn't worked out like that, because the pharmaceutical companies and the governments have made sure that the West have got the vaccine before anyone else. Because if it's not for profit, well, I suppose even if it's not for profit, you still have to find the money to pay for production. And that's why countries have to give amounts that they're going to give to these countries, but haven't done it yet because they're putting their people first. Some people may say, what about the Second World War? What about defeating Hitler? Yeah, well, no, that was, if you look at history, that was more to do with power and a shift of power, and them not wanting the Germans to become another empire when the British Empire was dwindling. That was more about, that's why Britain didn't go into the war straight away, even though they had a pact with I can't remember, was it the first that was invaded by Germany. So yeah, that was more to do with power and possession, and it wasn't to do with freeing people. May have been to at the end to stop Germany coming into the UK, but it wasn't about, the British knew about the concentration camps for a long time, but didn't do anything to stop those things. It wasn't about that. That may be now what's been retrofitted onto, that was to do with that, but it wasn't. They knew about these camps and didn't stop them, because the people of Britain at those days had the same kind of anti-Semitic view of Jewish people that the Germans did. That's why they didn't want Israelis coming to Britain after the Second World War. That's why they took part of Palestine and recreated Israel because, if you remember back, the signs that they used to have on doors about no Irish, no blacks, no gays, was it? That's the three. But anti-Semitic fever was very rife in Britain back in the 30s and 40s. So it wasn't this heroic thing to save humanity that there was about. I mean, some people, some of the soldiers, yeah, they may have been fighting for that kind of cause, but that wasn't the generals, the prime ministers, the presidents. It was about possession and keeping things in order and keeping things in balance. I don't know. I've been trying to think, what about the internet? Well, yeah, I guess the guy who made it gave it for free, but then we all have to pay for broadband. It's been possessed, even if it was free, the code to be able to communicate. Putting things up in space, well, no, that was a race to beat the Russians. It was a pride thing to say that we were better than them. The Americans were better than the Russians, and that's why the space race was about. It wasn't about human endeavour. They played golf on the moon if they allegedly went there. I mean, I know I'm cherry picking bits, but it's just like I don't see humanity helping out humanity. What I see is divisions of humanity helping out divisions of humanity, like because we've bordered ourselves into these little circles of England and wherever, and we help out our own and our friends, but we don't help out humanity. We don't see that because we've been disjointed because of all the other divisions that we've created for ourselves, and so therefore we don't see this whole picture that we're brothers and sisters of each other, that our only real truth is not all these man-made illusions of you're this person from this country and this and this. The truth is that we're all human beings, and we should be doing things for each other, but the thing is, money gets in the way, division of country gets in the way, pride, possession, greed, all these things that are part of the system that we are all taught, and we're taught as normal things, and we don't really reflect on them until someone makes us aware of these things. That's what's stopping us from ever, so I don't see, I mean, if it's true that climate change, that this 1.5, if it comes, that this isn't some kind of pattern of the earth because of where it is or its timing, that we haven't gone through this many times, I assume the Industrial Revolution has made an impact, because we know that even through, cars can cause asthma and things. So if that is the case, that this is happening, and the planet is, people are going to suffer, especially in poorer countries, but even in America and places where they say that there's more fires and floods. Of course, this could be illusionary because it's easy to concentrate on these things and bring them to attention now. They may have been happening 50 years ago, but they just weren't on the media, because now weather is a big breaking news. Every weather thing is a breaking news nowadays. Everyone knows the names of storms. I mean, I don't know how accurate the data that they used 200 years ago compared to today's is, and I've mentioned that before, but say this is true, that we're going to destroy the very place that we found ourselves upon and don't even know why. Every world leader or delegate has come to try and solve that problem. If they can't agree on that, the very fundamentals of the place that we live upon, they can't agree to save it. It's like 12 landlords own a hotel and it's falling apart, and they all agree, we'll do it later, and then it falls apart. If we can't agree to that, let's say it is true, because I know there's a lot of climate deniers, but let's just say it's true that we're heading for an unsustainable planet, that people are going to suffer more than they are now, and people are going to die, maybe even eventually humanity is going to finish because we'll all be underwater. Maybe that's what Noah's flood was. Maybe it's a natural progression. Ice melts, as we know, as the sun heats it up, and then it comes water, because I assume the amount of water's never changed. And then it does it again, and it goes in this cycle. But maybe we're exceeding it by all the heat that we're causing through steam and etc. and emissions. But let's say it's true. All these world leaders have come. I don't know why these meetings have all these virtual signaling leaders talking about things, rather than just, really it should have just been a scientist or a few scientists, assuming, that's what they believe in, stand up, explain the situation in truth, not either way over, explain it, and then they just go away and do something about it, rather than all waffle on, as Greta Thunberg would say, blah, blah, blah. because then it looks like, well, they're not actually really doing anything, they're just talking as usual. But if they can't agree on this and save this, well, then that proves, you don't need all these things that I've mentioned. You can see that if these world leaders can't come and save the planet that we're actually living on, and we're all going to suffer and die, and they can't even agree upon that, that shows the problem with the system, that it's got in the way of humanity, saving humanity. We'd rather all die because we're so worried about money. We're so worried about power and possession and losing those controls. America losing to China, China losing to America. Other countries won't be developed as much. We'll put all those sort of monopoly, game of life type of things, these illusionary games we're playing, suits we're putting on to play this game of grown up, will come in the way of actually us surviving. So yeah, I'd like, if anyone, share this, put comments, give me an example where humanity's actually done something to help out humanity. And the other one was like, let's say Louis Pasteur with penicillin. I mean, these days you still have to pay for it, even if it's through NHS, like £9 or whatever. What do you call it? Prescription, so it's not the actual amount that it costs. I don't know how much it costs to make, so I don't know if that's a genuine thing. But it has been made, it's been possessed and turned into a money-making thing rather than, say, given out free. Maybe Louis Pasteur wanted to do something for everyone, but because of the system that we live in, it was captured by the pharmaceutical company of its time. I don't know if he had his own or if he was making money himself. I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, I know there's like Mandela or Gandhi or Rosa Parks or etc. But a lot of these things were done for, within their own little circles to, they have impacted other people thing, but their primary reason for doing these things was for their own cause. So I don't know. I mean, I can't think of one. I'm genuinely trying to think of one. I mean, there are probably things that have been, but there's a lot more that hasn't been done for humanity, where it has been possession, greed, pride, and money, and those types of things. So yeah, I was like, if anyone can think of anything, genuinely put it down. Let's see if there is anything that humanity's ever done for humanity that doesn't involve money, possession, greed, and pride. Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.